The ANC will today become the third of the country's big three political parties to launch their election manifesto at the Moses Mabhida Stadium in Durban. Let's get an update on how those preparations are going from our reporter Juniour Khumalo, who's on the ground there. Juniour, a very good morning to you once again. We know that we've been given some assurance, especially factoring in what the weather could do today, that President Cyril Ramaphosa will be delivering his keynote address before 11 o'clock this morning. What has been said about that?
Indeed, Mpo, we were given some assurances by the Secretary General of the ANC, Ufikile Mbalula, yesterday when he was delivering a media briefing, and he said that the President is expected to be on time. But so far, when you look around the stadium, it's still very empty. There are quite a number of people that have started coming in, but there's a lot more outside who are still trying to make their way into the stadium. But with us, we have a number of young people who have managed to come into the stadium. Thank you so much for joining us on Newzroom Afrika. Can you please introduce yourself and tell us what you expect the President to talk about?
Good morning. My name is Colleen Slava. Today we're expecting the President to speak about the water issues that we have, the electricity issue that we have, and also youth development and jobs for the youth. We're expecting such.
Okay. And why did you as young people decide to come in? A lot of young people no longer, are not interested in taking part in politics or registering to vote. Why did you find it necessary to come here at the stadium and be present?
I think we came here in our numbers because we are hopeful. We still believe in the ANC. So we are hoping that he'll give us, or we'll hear from him, what we've been wanting to hear from our leaders.
Okay, thank you so much for your time. So those are some of the young people that are here in the stadium, Paul, and they're just saying that they are hopeful. They still believe in the ANC, despite the governing party being in power for about 30 years. We know that the country is this year celebrating 30 years of democracy, and the ANC says that it still has a lot to offer to South Africans, Paul.
Insofar as what the IEC has had to say about the youth cohort, we know that around 78.31% of young people from the ages of around 18 to 29 are registered to vote. But of course, the big question on whether or not they will make their mark come 29 May is something that political parties are out there trying to woo and convince young people to make sure that they make their mark on the day. What are some of the big challenges that young people have also been talking about, Junior, as we head to elections?
Yesterday, the President was doing a walkabout in Umlazi at the Mega City Mall, and a lot of young people came out actually to speak to the President. They were complaining about unemployment. They were saying that they don't have jobs. They have the qualifications. They've gone to tertiary education, but they still do not have the jobs because there is no employment currently. They spoke to the President also about service delivery challenges that they're facing, especially in eThekwini. As you drive around, there were floods that occurred in this province, and eThekwini was one of those municipalities that was seriously affected. Water has still not been restored to some of the parts in the municipality as well, and some of the roads are still damaged. They still haven't been restored and repaired as well. So those are some of the challenges that a lot of young people actually spoke about. But when you remember 2 weeks ago when the EFF actually launched its manifesto in this very stadium, the one thing that they managed to do was to bring in a lot of young people. The majority of the people that came in and filled up that stadium 2 weeks ago were a lot of young people. So it's going to be interesting to see whether the ANC is also able to pull in that youth to come in and listen to President Cyril Ramaphosa's address in Paul.
In fact, 2 weeks ago, as we were talking and getting a sense from you on the ground on what the situation is looking like when the EFF was launching their manifesto, I know that entry into that stadium was a challenge. Is that what we're seeing today as, we look behind you, a lot of empty seats, the mobility of entering that stadium and the security measures in place? What does that look like?
Indeed, I think the security checkpoints, we saw this when the EFF launched its manifesto, we saw this when the ANC also had its January 8 celebrations in Mpumalanga, that there is a challenge in terms of communication between the security checkpoints as well as the people that are opening the gates and allowing people to start coming in. So the checkpoints are a serious problem. We also had to go through a lot of searches, so it delayed us to come in. So all the buses that are actually bringing people in, whether it is from different municipalities in KwaZulu-Natal or whether they are coming from the different 9 provinces across the country, then it's a challenge because all of those buses have to go through a search park before they come into the stadium and then drop off people so that they can come in. We saw a lot of people are actually still at the gates trying to make their way into the stadium. So there are those challenges as well. But the ANC has been ambitious, saying that they expect the program to start promptly at 10 o'clock. We were speaking to the police minister and NEC member Opegitele earlier, and he said that this time around they have managed to communicate with the police, and there are many more entry points that have actually been put in place to allow these individuals to come and fill up the stadium.
Very well, Juniour Khumalo. Let's leave it there for now as we continue, of course, throughout the course of this morning to give you rolling coverage of what is happening ahead of the ANC's election manifesto launch in Durban, in KwaZulu-Natal at the Moses Mabhida Stadium. We will be bringing you more of that throughout the course of this morning.